And welcome back. As we continue looking at Python, let's go ahead and quickly transition from our simple if, elif, and else statements to looking at compound and nested conditionals. So let's start first with compound expressions. Python, of course, permits you to do the following Boolean compound operations. So we can do an and, an or a not. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of a different syntax than what we might be expecting. All right, we don't have symbols such as the double ampersand or the two vertical pipes. Instead, you'll see that we have keywords here. We have the word and, or, and not. And so these are, of course, how we can do some of those expressions that we might be used to. They function the same way. So, for example, an and, both of these conditions must be true. An or, at least one of these conditions must be true. And not, of course, just changes the value from either being true to false or from false to true. Now with nested if statements, we of course can put nested if statements inside of other if statements. And of course these are our nested if statements. So if we have, for example, this example, we have if x is greater than 10, we're going to print above 10. If x is greater than 20, we're going to print and also above 20, otherwise, but not above 20. So again, a very simple demonstration for a nested statement. Nothing that we shouldn't really expect. And over here in Python and with the Visual Studio Code, we can see here a quick demonstration of some of those techniques. So here I have a compound expression showing and, here I have one showing or, and down here we have a nested statement. So let's look at this compound and first. You can see I have if x mod 5 is equal to 0 and y mod 5 is equal to 0. So we're going to look to see if they are divisible by 5 and we don't have any remainders. Similar down here, we are doing the same thing, but with 2, and this one's going to look to see if they're divisible by 2. But the difference is, of course, this one has an and, which means both of these conditions must be true. I have to have both x divisible by 5 be 0 and y divisible by 5 be 0. Otherwise, we won't get that print statement. And here, I have to have both the numbers divisible by 2. But the difference is only one of them has. So it's actually not both here. It's actually only one. And down here with our nested, the thing about their nested is, again, it's just like we expect from our previous experiences working with conditional statements, is that it has to first meet this outer condition before it can evaluate anything inside of this condition. So it first has to see that x is greater than 0. If it's not greater than 0, it won't do any of these things that are inside of this nested statement. So it has to first pass here, then it's going to look in here, and of course in here we have an if, an elif, and an else that's going to go ahead and try to evaluate. Let's give this a run just to see what we get. So we get demonstrating a compound expression. We have both numbers are divisible by 5, which they are. We have at least one number is divisible by 2, which of course that would be true because y is. And then we're demonstrating a nested if, so let's determine a new number to multiply by. Let's just go ahead and say 3. And we get the product is positive. So we look here, x is greater than 0, which was 15, so we got that new number input. And we did x times z is greater than 0 because we have a 15 times 3, which would technically be 45. 45 is greater than 0, so we get the print, the product is positive. Now let's just go ahead and see, just to prove that these and ors are work the way we expect, I'm just going to go ahead and change this to 14. Now, that's not going to change the second one if it's the case, because both of those will still come back. This will both come back as 0, but it should affect this and statement here. So let's just run that one more time. And now we can see we get demonstrating a compound expression. At least one of the numbers is divisible by 0, because again, in this example, we don't have this being triggered because x is not divisible by 5 anymore, because now it's 14. So just those are the little things to kind of keep in mind as we start working with these. Again, this is nothing totally new if we're used to working with compound or nested expressions. And so that's going to make our transition to using this pretty easy, except for the biggest thing, and remember, we're going to be using keywords here instead of relying on our traditional symbols that we might be used to.